What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Shot Sports Podcast. Grab a drink, a snack, do your weekly dose of sports, where we'll break down and do a deep dive of the world of sports, whether you're a casual fan or a diehard. We're here to bring you the latest, the best analysis, and the hottest takes. So go ahead and subscribe, share, even leave a comment. We appreciate all the feedback. Hit the like button for us and tap the notification bell. Put it on the right so you can notify whenever we drop so you don't miss one. Today we got on the show Chris Pittner. So how was you? I'm not sure. Was you? I think you was on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I was very yeah.
So how about those Brewers, right?
Yeah, I got a t-shirt on for them. Should be yeah, they're halfway to George Webb's again, so that's fun.
Yeah. What is? Do you want to explain that to people? Because I know some people don't even know what that is.
So George Webb's is like a hamburger kind of I'm not from Milwaukee proper, so I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is. I know it's open 24 hours. It's kind of like a diner, and when the Brewers win 12 games in a row, they give away free hamburgers. So they got to 11 last time and they lost the game against the Mariners that would have got them to 12, 1-0. So our fan base was kind of let down. There was a big kind of joke going around that like people were jinxing it by talking about it too much and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a fun thing. It's happened a couple times throughout their history, but yeah, if they win 12 in a row, come to Milwaukee and get free burgers.
So why 12 games? Why not like 10?
That I don't know, but I think it's just a fun thing. And 12 is such a hard number to reach in baseball because anything can happen. It's one of the most unpredictable sports. So just getting to 12 wins in a row. I wasn't alive when they came up with the promotion, so it's been
Right.
going since the 80s, but yeah, it's just a fun thing.
Well, all right. Well, you all have something to look forward to and cheer on to. So we're gonna jump into our first topic, which is Koa Peric. Now, Koei Peric is um, a two-way player. He's actually a defensive back for the University of Minnesota, and I know we spelled that wrong, but he's a DB from the University of Minnesota. And this fall, they've been trying to put him as a two-way player, someone like Travis Hunter, and they're trying to have him play both sides of the ball. So he was wearing a split jersey in practice, and the coaches have been saying he's a unicorn. That's what his head coach PJ Fleck was saying. And there's not a lot of people who can do that and do it successfully. We feel Corey can. So I have some video of Corey Parrish to back all this up to see how he looks on offense, how he looks on defense, and we'll go from there.
Shrine Bowl running at second down for Edwards. Back to pass. And that is intercepted. Coy Parrish has another one. They call him Coy Wonder. His fifth takeaway in 3 games. The true freshman grabs another for the Gophers.
I mean, the guy's a ball hawk. If he has 5 takeaways in 3 games, it shows that he has a knack for causing havoc in the secondary, being able to force those turnovers, get to the ball. He's just, I mean, it makes sense why they want to have him try and play both sides. I would say defense is probably harder than offense. Now, I never played football. I was a scrawny cross country kid, so I'm not speaking from experience on this, but I know they always call DBs wide receivers with no hands.
Yep.
And he seems to have the hands, so they're going to try him out on offense. It looks like it's going to be fun for him. Going to be fun to watch. Minnesota's Wisconsin's big rival, so Hopefully he doesn't do anything too bad to the Badgers, but definitely going to be interesting to see more of this Travis Hunter archetype come into the league, maybe into the league for sure in college, because that's kind of where the testing ground would be for it. And then if those guys succeed at that level, rather than just Travis Hunter, then they'll make it up to the pros, and maybe we'll see that more often.
Yeah, I could agree. I do have some coach sound as well that I'll get to in a second, but I saw arguments that people were saying he better get the same amount of coverage as Travis Hunter. Well, let me tell you something. Until we see him be able to dominate on both sides, he won't get the coverage that Travis Hunter has or had. Let's look up some of his stats real quick, right? So he had 46 tackles, 28 solos, 18 assists, 1 fumble recovery. Oh, and he had only 5 interceptions all season.
I mean, only 5. That's still a pretty high number for only 12 games. I mean, that's still pretty good. If I know college isn't the same level as the pros, but if you have 5 interceptions in an NFL season, you're looked at as pretty solid.
And he's only played in I think he's played in only 5 games.
So, I mean, 5 interceptions in 5 games is a really good stat, but and then a fumble recovery on top of that.
No, he's played the whole season. Never mind. I just couldn't see something. Yeah, so he's had 1 forced fumble, 5 interceptions. And then he had that. He was on like an interception spree. He had like when he said that they had like 5 interceptions in like 4 games, or something like that. It really was 5 interceptions in 5 games. So that's pretty good. He had 2 in 1 game against Maryland that we just seen that clip. He had 2 in that game. And then, what was that, week? That was week 5, and then he didn't have anything else after that. He had 13 total tackles in 1 game against Penn State, 9 assists. So he's more of like when something is going well, that's gonna be his game. You know, if he has like two or 3 tackles in a game, he's going to end up with like 7. That's just how the game he is. And when he has like 1 tackle in 1 game, then that's pretty much all he's going to get. So he was only a freshman too. It's pretty good to see. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. Got a little size to him, especially for a DB or a safety, as people call him. But yeah, I'm really interested in seeing how it looked. Now, I know some people are going to be like, oh my gosh, well, he needs the same attention as Travis Hunter. Well, let's pause for a second, because Travis Hunter did it for 2 years straight. And then when he got it and he was playing both sides of the ball for 2 years straight and was dominating the game, right? And when he went to Colorado, what happened? He started dominating again. So it's going to be something. I'm ready. I'm excited to see. I'm ready for college football for sure. And it seems like we have another unicorn or 2-way player that's trying to become one. We have another player that's trying to become a 2-way player, rather. So, yeah.
I mean, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's not. It has nothing to do with the amount of media coverage. It depends on how dominant he is as a player. Travis Hunter, the reason he got so much coverage is because he was doing good things on both sides of the ball, and it was consistent. He wasn't just doing it, once a game on both sides. Like, he was a consistently great player. Is this guy, I mean, from his film from his game tape that we just watched, they called him Coy Wonder, which shows that he has some allure to him at least. And he looked really explosive on that interception. Yeah. He was able to navigate through the defense and whatnot. He looked speedy. So there's definitely a lot of potential there for a player like him. And this archetype is starting to become a bit more common, I think, where you see guys that are legitimately going to try and play on both sides of the ball. And it's a similar but not the same case with a guy on the Green Bay Packers named Bo Melton, who switched from wide receiver to corner this year, and from what I've heard from training camp, he's been doing pretty well so far. He had an interception. It was either yesterday or the day before. So this is entirely possible that we start seeing more and more guys that are able to do this.
It's pretty good to see, actually. As I know Devontae Adams has said the other day that he's not hating. He ain't hating on nobody. All he said was that he doesn't know if he's going to be able to sustain that for a long career, especially at the NFL level. In college, you might be able to because you're not getting hit as hard. Because when you get to the NFL, you're playing against guys who've been just weightlifting and training for the season. You know, when you're in college, yes, you're weightlifting and you're training, but you also have other responsibilities like class. You have like study groups and things like that. You know, you have to see counselors and stuff. So you have a lot on your plate in college where it's not just focused on just training. And I'm excited. I want to see if it's sustainable. I mean, we're starting to see more and more players come out like this. We're seeing more and more players come out and try to, be able to showcase themselves on both sides of the ball to say, hey, I'm agile. I can play different positions, which is great for the game of football. But it also is going to be a big thing and a hard thing for the game of football because you're not going to really have guys that are good at just that one thing, right? You're going to have guys that say they're a wide receiver and they're safety, or one person's a linebacker and a running back. Like, especially running backs. And I don't know if you can do that as a running back because you're constantly getting hit. But we'll see. I mean, we said that we'd never be able to see somebody like Travis Hunter, and we're seeing multiple people come out. So
this might be a boomer take before we move on really quick, but I think these guys, when they're younger and more, they can recover faster. Their bodies are still, they don't have the wear and tear yet. I think this is when they're like Travis Hunter, for example. I think he'll be able to do this for a couple of years, but as he gets older and starts getting hit more and more, starts building up nagging injuries, I think that's when he's going to probably have to pick a side when he hits 26, 27, somewhere in there. Again, this might be a boomer take out of me just because we've never really seen someone like this in our lifetimes, at least, be able to just play every single snap. But the NFL, like you said, is just a different ball game. It's just so much different. The power of the hits is just so much. I mean, you might be getting drilled by Myles Garrett or TJ Watt or something like that. And then on offense, you're going to be expected to guard pretty much anyone. So you could be guarding, I don't know, an absolute bruiser of a wide receiver or a defensive back, or you might get stiff-armed by a running back. All that's going to add up over time. Now, we could, in 10 years, be completely wrong about this. But in my eyes right now, I think this will work when they're young. Their bodies are able to recover faster. But as they get older and start to add on the mileage a little bit, that's when they're going to have to pick either wide receiver or defensive back.
All right, so before we move on, we're going to listen to what his coach had to say.
He just pulled me aside and why didn't I play very much? So that's how he's handling it. I mean, if he had it his way, he would never come off this field. And that's why I said at Big Time Media Day, it takes a really special person to do it. And it's not just, okay, we're just going to hand it to him one time. If you want to do it both ways, it's got to be a fully committed player. Well, there's nobody more committed than that kid. Nobody more competitive than that kid and dedicated than that kid. So that's how competitive he is. I thought he got plenty of reps and saw what we needed to see and do a lot. Plus, this is 6 days of doing it over and over and over and over. And we're not going to show everything. There's a wide open crowd. So, but he's over there.
Yeah, he's basically just singing his praises, saying that he wants to do this, and he's going to try to take that step. So that'd be something cool to see. And I absolutely hate the University of Minnesota for playing the music in the background to where we can barely hear Coach. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not a Minnesota fan to begin with. It's kind of. I mean, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and college football is one of the bigger rivalries. But, I mean, I'm going to be excited to see how this plays out this year. Whether he's a full-on participant on both sides of the ball, or at least on offense, whether he's more of a gimmick type guy, like a Taysom Hill almost, where he just goes out there for certain plays and doesn't play all the snaps, is yet to be seen. But if he's able to line up at a wideout and play defensive back the entire game, it's going to be really fun to watch, especially if he stands out on both sides.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into our next topic, which is Shador Sanders, man. He should start it. He is starting the preseason game tomorrow, their first one. Who I think they play the Carolina Panthers, I believe, and it's something I'm ready to see it. You know, he's been named the starter. It's preseason week 1. No one's saying he's starting the regular season. No one's saying that, but Luis Riddick said on ESPN a few days ago, and with the signing of Huntley, I'm concerned that this is a setup. Giving Shador 1 day of reps with the first team sounds like a setup. Well, we gave him a chance. Excuse. If anybody can do it, it's Shador. I don't know, man. And then about a few days later, they announced that he's going to be the starter preseason week 1. But I don't know, man. I don't want to say that they throwing him a cookie or a bone or whatever. Like, here, this is your chance or whatever. But he's had like maybe 1 or 2 days where he played and practiced with the team 1's stats, and he's done very well with the other players. So that's very encouraging for when he does play against the number 1s. The number 1s are supposedly better. So, what do we think about this? Let's see.
I mean, I think it's a good opportunity for him to kind of shut people up. That's the biggest thing. Like in preseason, the games don't mean a ton, but for guys like rookies and those guys trying to make the end of the roster, like the guys just trying to make the 53 man or trying to make it to the practice squad, because rosters are still at like 90 names right now. They're not anywhere near cut down to what they need to be. For guys like him, this is really important because this is his chance to show that he belongs in the league. A lot of people thought he was going to be, Mel Kiper thought he was the best player available out of everybody. So this is his chance to show that a lot of teams effed up by not picking him. And if he's able to show that tomorrow, because there's going to be a lot of eyes on that game. It's going to be one of the more anticipated preseason games of the year besides the Hall of Fame game last week, specifically because it's the first game back. But yeah, like you said, it's going to be a must-watch game for sure. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that game tomorrow. And it's going to be his chance to show that he belongs in the NFL and really just shut everyone up.
I can agree with this a little bit. Browns signing Huntley really does impact Shador's mental. In a way, it does, I believe. But we can't really say that just yet, though, because we have to. I want to, because the NFL is a whole different level game than what he was doing in college. Like, he was the man in college, and a lot of people was in his ear saying, "Oh, you're not deserving. Oh, you're not deserving." He won the Golden Arm that year when people was doubting him, saying, "Can you beat good teams, or can y'all even have a winning record, or can y'all even compete?" Like, it's going to be something. It's definitely going to be something to see, and I'm ready to see it. We're ready to see it. Now, affecting his mental, Shador Sanders is a strong mental player. I mean, he's always shown that he had that edge to him, to where he doesn't let anything, sway him, or doesn't let anything distract him. So it'd be something to see for sure.
I'm going to reiterate this. Whenever we talked about this last with Kenny Pickett and the Browns 6 quarterbacks that they have, yeah. Deshaun Watson's not going to play at all this year. So he's kind of out of the picture already just for that reason. I don't see Kenny Pickett or Tyler Huntley making this roster. I think it's going to be both Dillon Gabriel and Shador Sanders and Joe Flacco that are going to be the 3 quarterbacks that head into it week 1. And those are going to be the guys on that roster. I don't see them cutting either one of those rookies. There's no reason for them to. If anything, they're going to trade one of them. I just don't see a scenario where you go out of your way to draft Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round and then draft Shador in the 5th round and cut one of them. I don't know. That doesn't make sense in my mind to do that. I don't think either one of them is going to be off this roster come week 1, but this is still a great opportunity. I think Huntley's just there to give him the competition. And Huntley has had flashes in the NFL. He's been very kind of up and down throughout his career. He's been a good backup at times. Other times he's struggled. He's kind of like a Walmart Lamar Jackson a little bit in the way that he plays, like the we have Lamar at home type thing. But it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. Joe Flacco, from what I've seen, is probably going to be the one come week one, but these games could change that too. We haven't seen a single snap of preseason football from the Browns yet.
And when we were talking about mental, he says, I don't want him to come and see me get a couple reps, Shedeur said. No, you can't be proud of me right now. Well, that goes to show you that's where his mental is. Like, his mental is, he's very mentally strong. He goes out there and says, no, you can't come to the game right now. I don't want you to see none yet. I'm not there yet. And that takes some real guts to tell your dad, especially Deion Sanders, to not show up and come to practice and see me play, or not come and see me play and train, knowing that, you've been watching me train and looking at me train for years and ever since I was little. Like, that's a different kind of beast, in all honesty. So for him to come out and say that, he's very mentally strong. And I say that he's like Deion anyway with his competitive edge, because he talks like him and he walks the walk and he talks the talk. Especially we've seen it when he raised his wrist up about his watch whenever he scores. Well, that's like Deion talking trash to the crowd.
I mean, it runs in the family. They're trash talkers in the Sanders family. They've got that it factor in that way where they know that they're the guy. And Shedeur was the guy for Colorado. They had a really rough first year in the Big 12. Then they reloaded. Last year they played a lot better. I think they were 8-4 last year, something like that. They definitely improved over the year before. They played like a top 25 team most of the season. So there was clear growth there. So if he can take another step, there is a chance that he could be successful in the NFL. I mean, and there's got to be a reason why he was, other than being Deion's son, that Mel Kiper had him at 1-1 on his draft board. I don't think he should have been taken that high. I think he should have gone. I think Pittsburgh would have been a good spot for him in that first round, but they took a defensive tackle, or the Giants. But
even if
I think
he failed to the second round, he should have been taken.
Yeah, I mean, he fell all the way to the fifth. And New Orleans took a 26-year-old quarterback over him, which doesn't really make any sense to me. Because if nothing else, you're getting the upside of a younger quarterback who's shown flashes of potential through the years over a 26-year-old, where I don't know how much he'd be able to grow. So this is his chance to show that he deserved to be picked early, that he's just got a great opportunity. That it is what it is at this point.
I really want to see how the Saints play, because that's who we all comparing them to. We all knew that the Steelers were going to somehow get Aaron Rodgers at some point. So that's not to say a knock on him or put a knock on him about not going or not having Pittsburgh take him. But for him he was supposed to be a Saint, and that's who needed the quarterback the most. Them and Cleveland, but that's who needed the quarterback the most. I personally still think he should have went to Jacksonville, because it puts Trevor Lawrence on the hot seat. Puts him, okay, if you don't get it done, we're moving on, right? You don't show up this time. We have a roster that's capable to compete. You don't show up this time, well, we're done. We have our quarterback for the future. And I really think Jacksonville dropped the ball on that. But I will say that New Orleans didn't do themselves any favors by taking Tyler Shough as well. Because, yes, he's 26. Yes, he may grow a little bit within the first 2 seasons, but there's not going to be a lot of growth. There's not going to be
he's pretty much in his prime already,
Yeah,
if you think about it.
There's not going to be a case where he's going to elevate even more. He's pretty much at where he's going to be. He's pretty much built his body where his body's going to be built. Not saying he can't get bigger or stronger, because everybody can, especially when you hit your 30s. That's when you really start to see some growth in body size. But he's not a linebacker. He's not a running back where he can put on more pounds of muscle. He's a quarterback. He's supposed to have a great arm, have a good shoulder, and have a good frame, right? And I don't think that Tyler Shough is going to have the ability to grow anymore. into what he is now. And for him to be taken over Shador is just really a slap in his face.
I think the biggest thing was just Shador's attitude in the draft
Yeah.
process, and that really did him in that regard. But yeah, I don't know. I can't see Tyler Shug being much of anything. He was a good college quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback because we're seeing more or less the finished product of what he's going to be. So if he's good this year, he'll probably be good for years. But if he's not good this year, he'll grow a little bit just because it takes time to adjust to the pro game. But he's not going to be a generational talent. And I think in any other year where there's more quarterbacks that are top prospects, because this year was a strange year where there really wasn't a ton of quarterback talent in the draft. He's a late round pick, is what he is. He's one of those guys you take a flyer on in the 5th or 6th, like where Shador was picked, and just hope you strike lightning in a bottle. So just handing him the keys doesn't really make much sense for New Orleans either. I feel like honestly they're just seeing this as a gap year, and then next year they're going to start to try and put something together again. But yeah, I really think Shador should have went to either Pittsburgh, because even though you have Aaron Rodgers on that team,
Right.
Aaron Rodgers is only there for a maximum of 2 years.
Right.
There's no way he plays longer than that. He's starting to show signs of his age. I don't know how committed he is to football at this point in his life. He's got other ventures that he's trying to do with being on Pat McAfee all the time and the other things that he does. But yeah, I think just being able to learn under a guy like Rodgers would have done him help too. Even if it takes attention away from one or the other, which might annoy them a little bit because they're both big guys when it comes to the media and attention and stuff like that. But I think that it really would have helped his development to be under someone like that. Now, Joe Flacco's not a bad guy to learn under either, but I think there were teams that definitely could have taken a chance on him before Cleveland did.
Yeah, he could have went to the New York Giants too, but I think that's where his. I think they just really didn't like his attitude. It came out, so he was never going to be a Giant, but and he should have been because he's miles better than Jackson Dart. But we'll say, I don't know. I mean, Tyler Shug. I mean, he's going to have a lot to prove. He's got a lot of pressure on him because of where Shador is, because he was taken above Shador. Him and
Yeah,
and I've
I mean,
seen some
Dylan
tape
Gabriel,
of,
I don't think has as much because they didn't draft him to be a franchise quarterback or anything, or even to be a starter. I don't think because he was drafted in the 3rd round. It's not like he went round 2 and early in round 2 like Tyler Shough did.
Yeah, so I don't think Tyler Shough was that great of a quarterback at Louisville. I just thought he was a little overrated to me. But I also think that only time will tell. And Dylan Gabriel I've seen some clip, and he looked horrendous. I mean, Dylan Gabriel looks horrendous in camp. Okay. I mean, he's practiced with the first team a bit, and he looks absolutely horrendous. Like, I'm going to send the video later, or I could send something later about and put it in our group chat or something, but he looks absolutely bad. He can't, he's not being, he can't throw the easy throw. He's mentally running away. I mean, you can see him, he's scared in the pocket because he's moving too quick. He's under pressure a bit, and he feels like he just doesn't look comfortable at all. And they've been in rookie camp, and now they've been in mini camp, and now they're in training camp, and he still doesn't look comfortable.
My question is, and this goes for all training camp clips, are these like picked out of a small sample, or is this like the overwhelming thing? Because we could see Shador throw an absolute dime, but be 1 for 8 on that drive. If you know what I'm saying, it's like these could just be, and this goes for anybody. Like I've only seen, because I'm on Packers Twitter, I only see negative Caleb Williams clips. I never see any of the good stuff from him. So I just wonder, like, are these nitpick clips, or are these like the actual like overarching theme? Like what you said, that could be possible that he's just been awful in camp so far and Shador beat him out for the spot, which is probably what happened. But we could also look at it a different way too.
Yeah, so it's like a montage of different days of how he looks, and it's overwhelmingly like he had a couple good throws in there, but it's overwhelmingly like, and it was on ABC too, ABC Cleveland, of how like some guy from ABC Cleveland I think had it, and he put it out there, and it just looks bad. I mean, he don't look comfortable at all. He looks nervous, and it feels like the game is too fast for him. And I'll be able to send that later, but it's It's just.
I mean, this goes back to
what
what
they
I
did
was.
with Shador is crazy. That's all I have to say.
It goes back to what I was saying about rookies having to adjust to the speed of the game too. Some are more NFL ready than others.
Right.
Gabriel, just might not be NFL ready yet. I'm not sure how old he is. I'm gonna look real quick, but I think he was a senior this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
for
he was
Oregon.
like 6 years, so he's like 24, 23.
So he's 24, which means he's already pretty old for being a rookie. He's not quite as old as Tyler Shugg is, but that doesn't mean that he's young either. You're not drafting a 21 or 22-year-old out of college. This is not the finished product, like I said, but there's less room to grow for a guy like that.
That's true. That is true. So we're going to jump into our last topic, which is fantasy football. So we're going to do this every show. We're going to have who are the best positions are available, right? And we're going to go running backs today, I believe, quarterbacks Tuesday. Next week, Thursday, will probably be wide receivers. And then the week after that, I think we're going to do defenses. And then after that, tight ends. Yeah. So we got today fantasy football. Who's the go-to running backs for people who do you think people should really look at? Not if you don't have Saquon or Bijan Robinson.
So first of all, I want to explain the difference between a good running back and a good fantasy running back, because
Yep.
I think there is a little bit of a difference.
Yep.
Derrick Henry, for example, was the second best running back in the league last year. And last year he was one of the top fantasy running backs. I think, yeah, that's a good shot. Bucky Irving. We'll get to him at some point. But
Oh, yeah.
there's guys like Devon Achane, for example, from Miami. He's a fantastic fantasy running back because of how many passes he catches out of the backfield. It's just if you get a 10-yard catch 4 times a game, that's 8 points on its own. And that's without a touchdown and without any rushing yards. So that receiving backs are so much more useful in fantasy than they are in real life. Guys like Derrick Henry who don't catch the ball out of the backfield, or Josh Jacobs, who's not really a receiving back either and kind of relies on touchdowns a little bit. Those guys aren't nearly as valuable as they are to an actual NFL roster. Whereas
Right.
a guy like Devon Achane, and then the cheat code of all for a long time was Christian McCaffrey, where he was just he put up 24 every single game because he'd have 5-6 receptions, maybe even more than that, a touchdown and 100 rushing yards, which is what made him so elite.
Yeah, so I believe the best one I can look at would be someone like somebody like Chase Brown might be a good one.
Chase Brown won me our league last year.
And a lot of people talking about, oh, he's just a rookie. Genty's going to be a good one. That's what I've seen in training camp. They got a lot of plays drawn up for him. Genty's going to be a good one to look at.
I mean, the thing about
James
a
Cook
rookie,
might be a
like
steal, like he was for me last year when I chose him last year to win fantasy championship. No, for me to come in second at a fantasy championship. I almost won, but I lost. But James Cook was really an X factor for me last year. And
the thing about rookie running backs and wide receivers, it's kind of different, and tight ends, like skill positions in general as rookies, there's not as much growth that you have to do as there is if you're a quarterback.
right.
Like if you're a good rookie running back like Bucky Irving was last year, as long as you get your touches, man, you're fine. I think Genty could be a great option this year for some people. Now, where in the draft he's going to go for as like an ADP, I'm not sure yet, just because we haven't really seen too much yet. I think a guy who just because of the sheer volume of carries that he gets that is really useful, is Kyron Williams of the Rams. He got so many touches last year, especially in the first half of the season, where he was just always Hooper or Kupp and Nakua were both out. And if there's injuries on that team, that's who they turn to. They force feed Kyron the ball, and he gets 20 to 30 touches a game. So he's going to be another useful guy. Derrick Henry's obviously still probably going to be good with how good that Ravens offense is. Breece Hall is kind of an up and down, hit or miss type of guy. And then obviously the rookie running backs. I'm not very good at predicting those, so I'm going to leave those more to you. But Bijan Robinson is also obviously another great option.
I'm trying to see what other steals can be out there.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be way at the top.
Again, he's at the top right now. I'm looking at some of the rankings right now, and he's toward the top.
I do want to say David Montgomery could also be a steal because he gets all the goal line touches on that Detroit team. Gibbs will get him all the way down the field, and then they'll give Monty the ball at the 2, and he gets the 6.
I've had James Conner for the past 2 years, and he hasn't led me astray. He does get injured a bit, which is actually, so if you're kind of, if you're kind of worried about injuries, you might think James Conner might not be the best option for you, but he does have a lot of production for what he is. They do run the ball a lot, and he can pass catch out of the backfield. And Kyler Murray, and I ain't going to say he said it, but as I've seen Kyler Murray's play, James Conner is one of his safety nets to get the ball to when he's under pressure. He throws the ball quickly. They run up screens for him. And he was probably the best. He was the best player they had last year on fantasy. He had 1,000 yards, just came under 10 touchdowns. Well, he had 8 touchdowns. He probably would have had 10 if he would have stayed in that. If he would have played the last week of fantasy football. And yeah, he had 236 attempts. In 2025, they're seeing something similar as well. So James Cook is a risk, but he is a great option to look at in like the later rounds of somewhere like the 3rd, 4th round. If you're in a 10-man, if you're in a 12-man, then you might need to look at him toward the beginning of the 3rd round if you want him.
I've always kind of liked Aaron Jones as like a late round pick.
Yep.
Obviously, he's not going to be like a top of the table type guy or anything, and he's not going to win you a league if you're in a 6-man or maybe even an 8-man. But if you're in a 10 or a 12, he can make a darn good flex for you, or even a low end RB2, because he can get touchdowns, he can catch the ball, and he's spry. The only thing with him is he doesn't stay healthy all the time. DeAndre Swift is another guy that potentially, if you need someone at the way back end of the draft and you want like a lower end starter, he could be that guy too. If you're in a bigger league, if you're in like even a 8-man, it might not be worth it. But if you're in those 10 or 12-mans, that Bears offense could be good. Could be good this year. The offensive line is much improved, and he's a good receiving back as well. When you get him out on the outside, he's tough to tackle.
Yeah, that is true. Travion Henderson for the New England Patriots might be someone to look at as well. I wouldn't say draft him, but I would say try to look at him on a waiver wire if he's on there. I would say definitely watch him because, you never know how Ramondre Stevenson is going to be. Ramondre had a time where last year he was, fumbling the football a bit, and he was benched, I believe, for 1 or 2 games. And I forgot what his name was, but he played at Alabama, running back.
Damian Harris?
Yeah, that's it. He came in.
He was there a couple of years ago, but he left.
Yeah.
Another one of those steel rookies. One of my buddies told me about this guy. His name is RJ Harvey. He's from UCF in college. He's playing on the Denver Broncos, who don't really have a clear-cut number 1 running back. 1,500 yards on 7 yards per carry last year for him in his college season. So he's someone to look out for. Maybe one of those like later waiver wire pickups in the season as his touches increase throughout the year. Because some of those guys like Bucky Irving, for example, didn't get a ton of touches at the start of the year. And throughout the season, their touches are going to increase. And that's just how it works as a rookie. You get more opportunities as the season goes along. So he's going to be one of those guys that I think by like week 4, week 5, if you're in a larger league and you need someone off the waiver wire, he could be one of those options. And then I know Nazir will like this one. Omari and Hampton from the Chargers could be another option too.
And don't wake me up about it. I was supposed to be a Bronco, but whatever.
One of those running backs that just as a rookie, high upside, anything can happen. You might as well take a flyer on him at some point. That's how I won a league last year, was just drafting a couple of rookies. Brian Thomas Jr. and Chase Brown took me to the promised land.
Yeah, I believe another good one. I would say DeAndre Swift. If it depends on how Caleb Williams and them look. If Caleb and them can't move the ball, DeAndre Swift is going to be bad. We haven't even brought in Brian Robinson either from the Commanders. He might be a good one.
Either one of those guys on the Commanders, like I think Robinson at this stage in Eckler's career is probably a better option just because he sees the field more. Eckler's not terrible. I think Travis Etienne could be interesting this year, specifically because they came out and said he's going to be used as a receiving back and not like a pound it down your throat type of running back. But I think that both of those guys, just because they were good fantasy backs a couple of years ago, could be interesting pieces to go for, like in the late rounds, if you need someone that could get you 20 on a given week.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about Christian McCaffrey. Now, if you have, I think he might fall to round 2 this year. No, I ain't gonna say round 2. Well, he could because of all the.
He had a couple rough showings last year too. Like against Green Bay, for example, he did not have a good game, even fantasy wise. Like he did not nearly perform up to his standard of what we've seen from him in the past. Now he's gonna have that new dad power this year that people always get, but
he's going to be a very big risk.
I think he's a wait and see type of guy, because if he falls to your lap and say round 2, take him. But don't take him anywhere. Don't reach for him. That's all I'm gonna say on CMC.
Same. Now the risk reward ratio out of that, depending on where you take him, you might win the fantasy championship, because what he does is his effectiveness in his play is so elite in fantasy football, is that he catches, he runs, and he does it a lot.
And he scores touchdowns. A lot of
touchdowns. So he averages almost like 18, 20. And that could be the highest reward for you, but the risk is his injuries. We've seen him with Carolina. He was injured almost every season. But when he came to the 49ers, he played, he was healthy for a while, and the injury bug caught back up to him last year. So, yeah, it'd be something to see. Kenneth Walker's there.
Zach Charbonnet could be one of those good RB2 options, too. Like, out of all the guys in the NFL that are RB2s, I think he's one of the better options.
Yeah, so it's definitely...
we haven't talked about Jonathan Taylor yet either. He's he's a boomer bust guy. That's the thing with JT. I draft him every year just because I have Wisconsin bias because I'm from here. However, he was an ADP number 1 or 2 just a couple years ago. It was not long in the past that he was one of those top guys. I think it was 2 years ago. I took him at number 1 in a league. So a lot of people forget about him, and it's fair because he's hurt a lot and he's not really that good of a receiving back. He's mainly just out of the backfield.
I like a little bit of Nick Chubb, too.
The thing about Nick Chubb this year is, if Joe Mixon is healthy, he's probably going to get more touches than Chubb is. So, And Chubb in fantasy, he's what I call a touchdown merchant, where if he gets 18 points, it's because he has either a touchdown or 2, and all of his yards are rushing. He's not a receiving back.
No.
So he's a great real-life running back, but he's an example of where in fantasy he's not going to be nearly as effective.
So what I will say, we haven't even looked at Chuba Hubbard. He might be a good one because
I mean,
not
him and
only
Rico
Carolina
Dowdle are
projected.
going to be splitting carries this year. So not 100% sure how that's going to go. Dallas drafted a running back this year. I already lost his name for some reason, but I think he
No,
was from Texas.
Wait, Dowell is going. Wait, I thought Chuba was with the Panthers.
Yeah, Dowdle went to the Panthers
Oh,
in
he
free
did.
agency. Yeah.
I can see that. Wow, but that changes everything about Chuba Hubbard. But he's still going to be the running back one though. You could draft him at. I wouldn't say draft him in the first round, but if he falls in your lap toward the back end of round 3, or early or back end of round 2 rather, early round 3, I'd say you can definitely look at him a little bit. But
I think Tony Pollard on Tennessee.
Yep.
If you need someone at like the end of the draft, because he's not going to be anywhere in either rounds 1, 2, 3, or probably even 4. And then after that, you get to the quarterback and tight end rounds usually, unless it's a Brock Bowers or in the past Travis Kelce. But he's going to be one of those guys where if you need someone, either like a borderline waiver player as a spot start or something like that, he's going to be your guy. He was a bit better last year with Tennessee. He was regarded pretty highly a couple of years ago when he was still with Dallas. And him and Tyjae Spears could be both interesting pickups if one or the other gets hurt next year.
Yeah, it'll be something to see. So we're going to get into our final thoughts.
So I think because I've been paying a bit more attention to the Chicago media when it comes to the Cubs. Do you think that they're in the free fall that they describe themselves as being in? Because I still don't think the Cubs are in a free fall. You guys are playing 500 ball for the last month. If that's a free fall, it's not a bad free fall at all. It's just that the Brewers are that hot.
I would say it's offensively, they don't look nearly as what they used to look like, right? As a free fall, like, oh, are they going to, be bad or whatever? That's neither here nor there. I mean, they still have scored the second most amount of runs in baseball, right? And only trailing the Dodgers by what, 2 runs?
I mean, that's a game.
5 or 6 runs.
That's a game.
So, yeah, that's a game. So their offense has definitely slowed down. PCA has definitely fallen a little bit.
I mean, I'm going to be 100%. Yeah, I was going to say, now with Kyle Tucker, his is a bit more surprising. But with PCA, it's like, to a point, he chases way too much out of the zone. Regression was going to come, at least in some form for him at some point. He's been red hot 85 to 90% of the season. He's going to go through a slump. And a lot of his underlying metrics showed that he wasn't nearly as good as like his regular numbers were saying. Like he's been launching home runs with stats that show that they shouldn't always be home runs. But the rest of the offense, like Michael Busch, Seiya, Kyle Tucker, I think that those guys have to get going again. But I don't think that the Cubs are in free fall per se, because they lost a couple games to a Reds team who bought at the deadline and could be a sneaky wild card pick.
They're right there at the playoffs too. They're chasing down the Padres. So yeah, they got sick. I mean, the Brewers have 70 wins. Like the Cubs will be in first place in like 4 out of the other 6 divisions.
The Cubs are, the only other division they wouldn't be leading right now is the AL East.
Yep.
So I wouldn't even say that they're anywhere near in free fall. They're still a very good baseball team. It's just that it happens that 2 of the 3 best teams are in the same division.
Right. It's just that the Brewers are just that hot right now. And like I've been saying all this time, that it's going to come down to the Brewers August 15th to September 3rd. That stretch of games is where you would really see, okay, are the Brewers going to win the division, or is it going to be a battle to the end of the season, right? Because you all play like 4 to 5 playoff series against playoff teams.
I mean, we play the Mets this weekend, which the Mets are cold right now. They've lost 8 of 9. they were also cold the last time they played against us, and they took 2 out of 3 from us. So it's entirely possible that this series just kind of flips the Mets on their head. They're hot again.
Right.
And I think that the Yankees should be getting a bit more attention than they have been for being terrible as of late,
Oh my
because
gosh.
they're
It's a beautiful
sliding,
thing.
man.
It's a beautiful thing.
They're sliding, man. Both them and the Mets are struggling right now. But I think the Mets are more.
But it seems like the Mets are able to struggle because they had done so well at the beginning of the season, where it's not affecting them right now. They're still 2.5 out of the lead in the division. So
I mean, the thing about baseball is too, like every team has hot and cold streaks. It's not like the Warriors where they went 73-9 or the Lions going 15-2. Every team has an allotted amount of losses that are just going to happen. At minimum 40 losses every season. And anything above, if you somehow get above that, you just had the craziest season of all time.
right, of course. So my final thought, I'm just looking forward to watching Shador tomorrow.
I mean, it should be fun for sure. Is that going to be broadcast on like NFL Network or something?
I hope so. I will say that we'll see. But is that broadcasted?
I mean, no matter what happens, Twitter is going to go crazy whether he plays well or plays bad. So even if you're not watching, you'll kind of have the live reactions, I'm sure.
Yep, it'll be on NFL Network. Shador will be playing on NFL Network. Yep, 6 p.m.
A lot of eyeballs on that game. I wish the best to him.
It's going to be a lot of eyes on that game. You're either going to get the Ravens or the Colts, or you're going to get the Browns and the Panthers. So, and, I don't recommend people doing it, but, you can always watch it on Streamies. So, you got that too. So, well, my final thought, that's what it was. Shador Sanders. I'm ready to see him play, and I'm ready to see what he got, because enough of the talking with people, enough of the he was done wrong. I believe he was, but now he got to come out and show it, and now you got to come out and play. You got to come out and show why you deserve this opportunity. So go ahead, subscribe, like, share, and comment. Follow our podcast page on other platforms. The links are in the description box below. We have a Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're on Spotify, come and watch us on YouTube live and interact with us. We will be posting real shorts of this show, and we do have polls and question boxes on our X. And you can always DM us on things you want to have answered. So try to dive into a little lifestyle topics as well and things like that, so we can, try to expand more than just sports. So with that, we'll see you on Tuesday.